The Justin Robert Young podcast is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JuRY. Support the show by going over there and giving us money. Don't be scared if it says per creation, by the way. I wish Patreon would let me say per week. It's what it is. It's once a week. I bill it on the JuRY shows. If they would allow me to just bill it automatically each week, that's what I'd do. But instead, we do it this way. So whatever you pledge, understand that's what happens per week. All right. Also, go ahead and support the show by going to twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. If you already have Amazon Prime, which I know a lot of you guys do, you can't stop getting those 2-day free shipping deals. Well, then you have $5. That is mine. It's mine personally, and you need to give it to me because you're not going to use it because you can't. You go to twitch.tv/JustinRYoung, and as it turns out, Big Daddy Bezos has given you $5 to spend on Twitch. So, it has my name on it. I call dibs. Head on over to twitch.tv/JustinRYoung and subscribe to my channel. Again, free. You don't have to spend money. It just comes with your Prime. And if you did it last month and you haven't done it this month, then go ahead and do it again. Unfortunately, it doesn't renew, so you got to do it each month. But it's a free, quote-unquote, way that you can support the show. Also, I'm on tour, baby! June is upon us, and that means Night Attack Live in Los Angeles and San Diego. San Diego on June 9th. Afterward, we're going to do a little pub crawl through the Gas Lamp, which is where the show is. And in Los Angeles, the night afterward, that is a Sunday night, June 10th. Then we have special guests, including Andrew Main, Anthony Carboni, and Tom Merritt. So, go ahead and check us out, nightattack.tv/tour. But enough talking about how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing? I'm trying to stop the fact that I was playing music beforehand and I don't have this queued up. Here we go. Welcome. The show's called JuRY. My name is JuRY. My shirt is JuRY. JuRY stands for Justin Robert Young. It's on my birth certificate, so that's the deal there. Welcome, friends, to this very, very show. We talk about so many things. Hopefully this will not be completely subsumed by conversations about racism and sexism like last week's was. We'll talk a little bit about it. We got some great emails, some great JuRY bag emails. But let's begin with one of our favorite things to talk about. And by favorite things, I mean the worst thing in the world, and that is indeed a new dating trend. Sent to us by who is very much, I think, the kind of official JuRY dating trend, if not all-out news correspondent, Trench Reynolds. Big shout out to Trench. Thank you. Thank you. for your service on this Memorial Day. Oh, that's a bit macabre. Although, speaking of macabre, we are going to talk about Drake and Pusha T in a bit. But first, we get to this. R-bombing. It's the new dating trend, and yes, this one has defo happened to you too. This is her.ie writing this headline. Yes, her.ie. So a female-centric website in Ireland. I bet you're wondering what R-bombing is. In fact, right now, go ahead and write me, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com, put JuRY in the subject line. Please let me know what you think R-bombing is. Because if you are only listening to this, I can only imagine what you would expect. I did not know it from the headline, so I'm curious where you guys go. Another day, another new dating trend, writes Olivia Hayes for r.ie. It seems like every day a new dating trend that we come across, so much so it can be hard to keep up. Well, this next one is a bit like ghosting, but not exactly. Okay, so ghosting, we are beginning to We are beginning to scrape the bottom of the barrel when it comes to these dating trends. Because ghosting was like, all right, we're in a relationship. Things are going accordingly. Maybe we've been intimate. Maybe we haven't. And then all of a sudden, they're gone. You've been ghosted. As if you were fucking a ghost. Oh, what a tremendous reveal. I thought I was going on dates. I thought I was sending nudes to my boyfriend, but then it turns out he was a ghost. You are only ghosting is a new dating trend where you find an old dusty book and see a Civil War era picture of the person you thought you were dating and found out that they died in this very town 80 years ago. Oh. I wondered why he had such long mutton chops. I've been ghosted. That's not what this is. This is R-bombing. Ghosting can be much harder with the person you're interested in just totally ignoring you altogether. They might block you on all social media channels and ignore you in all possible ways. Okay, that's just an appropriate use of the platforms. Like, if someone's allowed to block you, you do not have a right to them. R-bombing is not as bad, but it's still extremely annoying all the same. This is another thing as we break down all these dating trends. Is they're always like, nobody in the lead explains the dating trend. No one's like, it's called painting. And then in the lead is like, it's when they paint you with paint. That's it. Because I bet you these motherfuckers get paid by the word, or there's some like optimum word length that they have to do. And so they have to say, we've all been there, right? You're in your sundress and you open up your phone and then look what happens. It's not like other things, including, but not limited to, submarining, ghosting, clawing, cream puffing, killmongering, tubering, the pertuberancing, R-bombing, L-bombing, B-bombing. Here's the deal. All right, basically it's when you send a person a message, whether it's via WhatsApp, Instagram, or Snapchat, and they simply don't reply. For real? For real? For real? That's it? That's it. You text somebody and they don't reply, and now we've come up with a name for it. Dating coach James Priest tells the Independent UK this is incredibly common both in text and through social media. James goes on to say it's very similar to ghosting, only you have your doubts they have got your message. You'll be confused and wonder why they aren't responding. The truth is that the other person doesn't want to meet, but doesn't want to hurt you by explicitly saying so. James concludes by saying, focus on finding somebody who treats you respectfully. JC Calhoun asks, if this is an Irish website, does this make this an Irish R-bomb? I almost got punched for asking for an Irish car bomb at an Irish pub once in Boston. They were not pleased with the name of that possible drink. Okay. I mean, like, come on. Come on. This is even something that can be done by mistake. But it does bring up something that I want to talk about, that I have been wrestling with for a while on how to talk about it. And that is the weaponization of empathy. Now, let me preface all this by saying that I don't believe that this is necessarily anything that is the end of the world as we know it, nor do I necessarily think that, despite the fact that I do believe it is brought on by social media, that it means that social media is a bad thing. What I do mean to say is that we are in an awkward adolescence when it comes to the internet in general, and we are only now beginning to feel around the edges of what I think we will be building our culture on for the next 100 years. Essentially, I believe that we are using the internet the way that people used video cameras to make used film cameras to make movies back in the day. We are in the silent film era where we are essentially just placing it in one place and shooting a play. We like to think, because we've seen such tremendous strides in such a short amount of time, that we are further along on this evolutionary chain than I believe we are. I believe that we are going to look back in 100 years and see our use of the internet and the way that we've treated each other with it as, if not archaic, then quaint. So when I say the weaponization of empathy, what I don't mean is that people are empathizing more. Well, maybe I am. Here's the chart as I can figure it out. We feel bad in life. This is something that happens to everybody. Yet, all pain is personal. All news is local. So, when I feel bad about something, I will have a greater knowledge of it than anybody else. Okay. So that's gone on forever. We all know that. This is a thing that happens. Okay. What changes now in a world of social media is that we know when other people feel bad sooner and more completely than we would otherwise. Before, we needed gatekeepers. Before, we needed a filter to show us who feels bad and who doesn't. Now we know when our best friends, our favorite creators, our worst enemies, the guy from work, somebody who you liked one tweet from like a year ago and decided to follow them, and now you're wondering why you still follow them. We know when all these people feel bad because we share it. Okay, so follow me. We feel bad, number one. We know when others feel bad sooner and more completely than we ever have. Step 2. Here's where the interesting part comes in. How we react to matching our pain. Now, our searing, unique pain connects to the pain that is shared online. We often react to this by punishing those who would make either us or by extension this other person feel bad. So, for example, in this R-bombing thing, we are now, in the softest possible way, demonizing somebody for whom didn't get back to somebody fictitious, right? We know this happens, but we don't. This is not like Martha was R-bombed. This is a dating trend. We've all been R-bombed. So instead of saying, oh man, connecting via social media or in the modern era is hard, and sometimes it's difficult to connect to people, and an increase in communications would almost assuredly create an increase in missed communications or non-responded to communications. We look at it as, don't you feel bad when this happens. Fuck these other people that do this to you. This is a bombing. This is one person callously pulling a lever and dropping a bomb on you. All right. So, step 1, we feel bad. Step 2, we see when other people feel bad. Step 3, we demonize the people that make us feel bad because we can now empathize more with the pain of others. And so now we are a collective. Step 4, we demonize those that make us feel bad. Now this is us. We are on one side. They are on the other side. And I mean they in the DJ Khaled sense. The villainous they. The faceless they. The pervasive they. The they with all the power. They. Doesn't matter who they are. It matters that they exist. They make you feel bad. I can recognize what that pain feels like. They make me feel bad. Which brings us to our final phase. The us versus them. And this is where things get interesting. Because we've walked a very, very, very understandable path. A very human path. And really, it is a path in which we can all understand the pieces because it's empathy. Whenever I go to see a movie at the Alamo Drafthouse, they play this trailer for the new Mr. Rogers doc. And one of the most affecting lines in that documentary, or at least in the trailer for it, is Fred Rogers saying that love is at the root of everything. Love or the lack of it. And I'm not going to lie to you. I tear up every time I see that trailer. But that line, I think, is fucking brilliant. Because what we're talking about right here is both. It is from love, from empathy, that we create faceless enemies and then assign the traits of these faceless enemies to real people. So now, it's not just about, I feel bad because somebody ghosted me. I feel bad because somebody didn't get back to me. I feel bad because the thing that you just tweeted about, I have a personal reference for, and now it is us versus them. It's everything. It's society. It's politics. It's dating. It's professionalism. It's the rule of the road. We've weaponized empathy. Because no one will ever say, you can always retreat. The faceless enemy needs to be motherfucked and shamed and destroyed. And you can say, wait a minute, isn't that fucked up? But you can always come back to, I did it for love. I did it for empathy. I did it to protect the weak. I did it to protect the vulnerable. With the unsaid element being, I did it to protect my vulnerabilities. I am doing the best that I can for me. I am reacting to my own insecurities, which is healthy. How do you criticize an unhealthy action that came from a healthy place? This is the defining question, or a defining question, of our awkward adolescence in social media, in my opinion. I have killed the chat dead with this talk, by the way. Normally we have a very lively chat. Normally we have a very, very involved audience. For whatever reason, me going on this talk has totally killed all the chat. Everything is gone. Everything is done. So we are going to pull up. We are going to pull up from this. And we are going to talk about something that is in the news. Pusha T and Drake. Pusha T and Drake. In the chat, how many of you guys are familiar with Pusha T and Drake? Is this something that is on your radar? I am in love with this moment in pop culture. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. And I'm going to walk you through it. If you're not aware of it, I'm going to walk you through this. If you're not a hip hop fan, I'm gonna catch you up. So, there is some prehistory, but I'm gonna focus on the shit that's happened in the last week. Pusha T is a rapper. Pusha T broke out onto the scene in the late 90s and early aughts with a group called The Clips. It was not only distinctive because Pusha T and his brother Malice rapped very explicitly about drug dealing. And by drug dealing, I don't just mean, hey, I sold drugs. It was like a manual. Like, you listen to those Clips records and you're like, all right, here's how you sell drugs from like the step one. It was like, you know, you have those master classes that you see the Facebook ads for. And it's like, hi, I'm Steve Martin, and this is my master class on comedy. Hi, I'm I'm David Mamet, and here's my master class on screenwriting. Pusha T could do a master class on drug dealing. Like he's that. It's not necessarily that he's remarkable for rapping about it. He's remarkable for being a tremendous teacher and somebody who has always had a very upbeat, you can do it attitude that you too can be an interstate crack dealer. He can do a TED Talk on drug dealing. He's just a very effective and evocative teacher. He also apparently is a very, very smart guy. Pusha T allegedly came up with the ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. That was a Pusha T invention. The other thing that was amazing about the Clips was it was produced by Pharrell, or the Neptunes producing duo, one of which was Pharrell, who is happy these days. We know him because he's happy. Let him know if you feel like a room without a roof. Pusha T is now the president of Good Music, which is Kanye Music's record label. So he put out a album on Friday called Daytona. It's a great album. I love it. Final song on the album is called Infrared. Infrared takes some shots at a few people, specifically Lil Wayne, Drake, and Baby. We don't need to go into it except to say that Baby is the head of Cash Money Records. There have been many accusations by Pusha T and others that Baby is not upfront with how he pays his talent. Lil Wayne has also gone on record saying that this is a problem. All right. So, that album comes out. Infrared is the thing. Drake responds within like a day. Drops a track called Duppy Freestyle. Duppy Freestyle. So, just to give you guys, this is in a nutshell, right? Pusha T does a song that effectively levies charges, including you're not making as much money as you should because you've signed a shitty record deal, and you're bad, and the stuff that is good that you've written, you didn't write. You had a ghostwriter. These have been charges that have been levied at Drake before, so it's kind of rehashing old beef. Drake responds within 48 hours. Oh, the internet. I'll tell you what, I don't give a fuck how much we weaponize empathy. The fact that we can get back and forth. All this happens within like 4 days. Drake comes right back, and Drake says in his Duppy Freestyle, you're old. You're not even close to talented as much of as many other people that are on your record label. And I should invoice you. I should invoice you for keeping you relevant. And then the further indignity, he actually publishes an invoice for Pusha T and puts it on his Instagram. Oh, how disrespectful. He also goes after Kanye West, who produced Daytona. Now, that is classic. That is good for Drake. Drake's got an album coming out. This is positive publicity. Old rapper comes at Drake. Drake counterpunches him. Shows that he's built for that life. And all was well until Pusha D released a response last night, or 2 nights ago, rather, wherein, in the parlance of Bad Boys 2, shit just got real. Oh, how real, you might ask. How real, you might ask. ICU says hard from Degrassi. Well, I'm glad you brought up Degrassi because it was around the time that he was doing Degrassi High that he allegedly, or I guess now confirmed, took a photograph of himself in blackface. No! Blackface! And he's not only in blackface, he's also kind of doing the, like, jazz singer, jazz hands. The fact that this picture existed on the internet for 11 fucking years and nobody knew about it until Pusha T put it as the album art for his single is mind-blowing. Who says the internet can't keep a secret? It kept a Drake blackface photo secret for 11 fucking years. And apparently this thing had just been sitting on the photographer's website forever. And if you thought that was bad, as Pusha T would say, the song is yuck. Oh, it gets bad. It gets bad. Not only does Pusha T call out Drake's mother and father, he then, and I don't know in what order to put this level of disrespect. I don't know what order to put it in. Because he first reveals that Drake has a son. Now, this is something that has circled around kind of the hip-hop gossip world for a little bit. But rappers with kids that have baby mamas that are causing messy drama on Instagram and Twitter isn't exactly the newest story, right? At this point in the world of hip-hop news, it's fairly dog bites man. But when it's in the middle of hip-hop beef, this turbocharged this story from something that's mentioned in comment sections on World Star to TMZ Entertainment Tonight level. We all now need to focus on the fact that Drake has a kid with a French porn star. Calls him a deadbeat motherfucker playing Border Patrol in keeping his son away from him. Oh. And that, you would think, would be enough. You'd think that would be enough. Says Drake's father is a deadbeat. Says Drake's mother could never get his father to settle down. Says that Drake has now picked up the mantle that his father left by being a deadbeat dad himself, and question his racial confusion by unearthing this blackface photo. But he then goes, in many respects, too far. He points out that Drake's producer, 40, has MS. It says he's hunched over like he's 80. Wordplay. The guy's nickname is 40. Hunched over like he's 80. And then doesn't even just say he has MS. He goes all the way there. All the way there. By saying, tick, 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 how much time does he have left? That man is sick. Oh! Oh! Dropping it the day before World MS Day. Yuck. Not only is that a bit much, that's a lot much. That is, oh, Jesus. Jesus Christ. You got to be kidding me. And how does Drake respond? By issuing a press release. Drake. Oh, baby, what is you doing? He says that in 2007, he was part of a film project when he was an actor where he wanted to depict the very harmful world of minstrelsy and minstrel shows. And so that is why he took that photo. This is a no-win scenario for Drake. Absolutely no-win scenario. He can't mention that photo. He can't talk about his son. It's just over. Like, oh. I assume he has to come back and do something. But the longer he goes with it, the more Pusha T's going to push it. Push. And he's got an album coming out on June 22nd. And all anybody's going to want to talk about is blackface and his son. And God knows what else Pusha T has on him. Because this motherfucker has dug further into his life than The Ringer did to Brian Colangelo this week. That's another story I wish I could spend another hour talking about. That I'm sure half of you guys don't give a fuck about, but I'm trying to tell you the fun stuff about this. I know 90% of y'all listening have no interest in hip-hop in general. I'm telling you you're interested in this. I know 90% of you listening have no interest in sports. I guarantee you you're interested in this Brian Colangelo story, because this is the GM of a fucking up-and-coming basketball team that apparently had 5 sock puppet Twitter accounts where he was shitting on his own players and talking about how handsome he was. Yuck. Oh my God. Oh, man. All right. Real quick, let's do our mailbag, and then we are going to call Tom Merritt, who has now returned from Australia. Thank you to everybody who's writing. If you want to get your emails in here, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Life advice, comments on the show, whatever you want it to be, this is where we read it. Cole writes, my question for the jury bag is, how do you manage your business partnerships/friendships? I ask because I work in a creative community, a.k.a. internet marketing, that's ripe with freelancers and contractors who are both my friends and peers. As someone who's always looking to learn more about how people navigate the space of creatives and entrepreneurs, I'm curious at how you manage the business side of things with your projects that involve other creators. For example, projects such as Night Attack, Unfriend Me, and even The Contender. Do you guys have an open line of dialogue beforehand on how you plan on expanding the business and who gets and owns what? Otherwise, anyways, I'm just curious because I know this can be tough if you want to be a laid-back friend yet business partner all at the same time. I've had my fair share of projects go good and bad with partners, and I'd love to hear your side of things, as often running a business with a friend can be both fun and scary. Be careful. That's my number one advice. I've had projects ruin friendships recently. In general, communication is the way to go. If you're going to get in business with a friend, I would say the social construct that you should think of it more as, make it more gym buddy than you do bar buddy. Bar buddy's there to unpack. Gym buddy's there to push. So you want to align with friends business-wise that you can have a back and forth. They're there to push you. You're there to push them. You're there to reach a goal together. I've heard it a lot of ways. I would say over my life advice has kind of brought me more to the point that I think I would probably steer clear of doing big projects with friends, or I would not look to friends immediately to solve problems. I would look to people that I could have a more clear-cut business relationship with. But just understand your gym buddies. You're both trying to get, the only way that you win is if both of you guys get shredded. So that's how I would think about it. Mike in the snow. When did the United States stop becoming a cultural melting pot? I remember in schools this country being described in its early days as a cultural melting pot, a place where all of the cultures in the world came to meld and poop out something similar yet different. Did this phenomenon often only include the cultures of Europe, cultures that have extremely close ties to the old world? If the Utah girl wants to wear a dress that has cultural ties to China, let her, unless the ties are to a seedy underculture where despicable things are commonplace. Again, this is, I think, one of these weaponized empathy things where it's like, I think things are fine. Whether or not, if the girl's wearing the dress, I don't really care, but I don't know if my voice is the one that you really want to hear on that. I think you want to hear the voice of Chinese people. If Chinese people don't give a shit, then that's fine. I don't give a shit. My gut instinct would be to say, as long as she's not pulling her eyes back, that it's whatever. I've known a lot of chicks that are wearing those dresses, that weren't Chinese. I think it's, they just like it. It's fashion. Although I will say this, I remember when I was growing up in school, they made a point to say this isn't necessarily a cultural melting pot wherein everybody goes out different and comes in the same, but rather, and this is real, and I wonder if we could find this video, they said that it's not a melting pot, it's a tossed salad. Somebody else has this. Ignis from Flint. Salad bowl over melting pot. They told me it was a tossed salad. So it wasn't necessarily a soup. It was everybody is their own separate thing. For real. They said tossed salad, not scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Justin writes, I'm a manager at a CPA firm, a first-year associate. I work with a lot of Chinese. A first-year associate I work with a lot is Chinese, but her family moved to the U.S. about 15 years ago when she was a kid. She's got a vicious sense of humor, and we get along very well. She's studying for the CPA exam, which, if you don't know, is really 4 tests, and it is very fucking hard. So about once a week, I started asking her if she's a CPA yet, and if not, why. One day, we were instant messaging, and she sent me a link to a Family Guy clip that I will play for you right now. Here we go. This is the clip from Family Guy that this our emailer was sent.
You doctor yet?
No, Dad, I'm 12.
Talk to me when you doctor.
So that was the clip that was sent to our emailer. He goes on. He responded to her, me, wait, are you calling me a racist? Her, oh my God, rolling on the floor laughing. I can't believe you just said that. Me, hashtag not racist. My lily white ass certainly didn't think about overbearing Asian parents in the beginning. I was just busting her metaphorical balls. But now I kind of do think about it. Does that mean that my once innocent remarks are now racist? Since I agree that listening to the potentially aggrieved party is the best course, she seems totally cool with it, and it's much nicer than some of the shit she's done. She once saw a colleague's driver's license photo and burst out laughing. I think that you missed the point of her sending that to you. I think she's saying that you're a father figure, or that you are feeding into the tropes of authorities that have unrealistic or very high expectations of her. I don't think that her point of sending it to you was racist. I think that the idea of the overbearing Asian parent is something that is pervasive amongst that community. You see it in a lot of immigrant communities, a lot of minority communities, really. So I think that you're off on this racist tangent. I think she just called you daddy. Vlad writes, on the subject of fucking yourself. We had this question about whether or not you would fuck yourself as a clone. I am self-proclaimed as the big gay. Being pansexual, I just cover myself with the gay blanket because it's very cozy and feels right. If I were to fuck my own clone, that means I would have to bottom and top all at once, and that sounds pretty gay to me. I'm not my own type, so I doubt I would ever want to fuck myself, so I guess I don't have to worry about that. If you are not sexually attracted to the same gender, I don't believe that fucking yourself would make you gay. It makes you adventurous. And there's a difference to me between getting your nut on and really making love with somebody. Brett writes, celebrities that I couldn't bear seeing outed in a scandal. Since most of my entertainment comes from podcasts, the bigger podcast stars are the ones that I could never imagine seeing outed. Roman Mars, Griffin McElroy, you and Brian, for example. I think podcasts inherently build up a closer creator-consumer relationship anyhow, so that probably would add to it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Radio and podcasts, I think, have a very close connection. But, man, I'll tell you what. If the adage of never meet your radio heroes is true, and boy, is it true by most estimations, then I would guess that of those four, Roman Mars, Griffin McElroy, me, and Brian, one of us probably has some demons. Now, and that's just statistically. I don't think it's me, but I don't think anybody thinks it's them. And finally, Andrew, who is moving, writes, I loved your response on the most recent show. I've made a list of things I'll build when I move to Portland and the things that I'll leave behind. Your run of shows in the past couple months have been stellar. Keep it up for me, for you, for all of us. Keep kicking ass. Thank you very much. To you, Andrew, who was moving. You want to know what? What do you say we try and call your boy, Tommy Merritt? I feel like we need a theme song. It's Tom Merritt, badoo badoo. It's Tom Merritt, badoo badoo. It's Tom Merritt, a Merritt, a Merritt. He was in Australia, now he's back. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Merritt, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, Justin, I'm on slide 24 of 294 of Mary Meeker.
Oh, gee, the internet report that we're talking about on DTNS today.
Yeah, buddy. You got to pick your section. What's your favorite? Is it China? Is it e-commerce? Is it mobile growth? Who knows?
Oh, geez. Looks like I got some research to do.
Rico's got a good breakdown to kind of help you navigate where they summarize the basic trends. And what I want to do on the show today is just sort of pick our favorites. There's a Pew Research report out today, actually, that is about usage. And I think that's actually a really good way into this because Meeker talks a lot about that. But if anybody doesn't know who Mary Meeker is, for decades now, she has been delivering a yearly State of the Internet report. And she is always right on top of what's happening. She is the one that I look to sort of confirm which of my notions are headed in the right direction. And in the past, it's been like, I think these smartphones are taking off. And, she's like, yep, they sure are. Or Internet of Things might be leveling out. Yes, it sure is. And this year, it's a lot about whether China is becoming the hub of innovation, whether e-commerce is taking up, and a lot of it's about the usage of the internet growing while penetration is starting to level out. We've reached about 50% of the world using the internet, and she's like, we got 0% smartphone growth. Like, the devices are out there. Now it's all about how you get them to use it.
Interesting. All right. Well, we will talk all about that on DTNS, but I want to use this time to ask you, what do you know about the Pusha T Drake feud?
Nothing. I need to learn. I need to be schooled.
Are you familiar with Pusha T?
No,
I assume that you are familiar with Drake.
Of course.
All right. So I'm just going to give you the summary because we broke it down on the show. Pusha T did a song saying that Drake is bad and his best stuff is ghostwritten.
Okay.
Drake then answered by saying that Pusha T is old and not famous. And Pusha T then responded this week in a track that had as its album cover a heretofore unseen picture of Drake in blackface.
Oh, geez.
That Drake's father abandoned him. That Drake has a secret son that he is now abandoning.
Oh, wow.
And that his production partner and co-creator of the kind of Drake company has multiple sclerosis and will die soon.
And apparently this is over Jay-Z's The Story of OJ?
This is, yes.
I'm catching up now.
Do you think that in general is too far?
I'll be honest. I started to lose track.
You started to lose track of what?
Of all the accusations when you were spitting them out there. Like, yeah, I think it's too far because it's too many.
Oh, you're just saying that we've. Well, I mean, this did actually kind of make waves in some of the larger press because this was investigative journalism, the likes of which we should be applauding in the modern era.
Well, okay, is it verifiable? That's the other thing.
Yes, Drake has confirmed that the photo is real and sought to explain it in a what is effectively the modern press release, which is him writing in his notes app and taking a screen grab of it. And the son is something that has kind of been simmering in sort of the hip hop gossip circles for a little while. But the baby mama, who is a French porn star, has gone out of her way to kind of make things messy and call him a deadbeat dad and stuff like that. So
okay, so
and Drake's producer 40 does have multiple sclerosis and was quick to point out that the Pusha T diss track dropped on World MS Awareness Day.
Well, in an odd way, I guess it did raise awareness.
It certainly did.
Not the way you'd want. Okay, so we've got multiple categories of shade, multiple, I guess, shades of shade being thrown here, right?
Yeah.
You've got I know there's this brewing controversy, so I'm going to stoke it, right?
Yeah.
Which, not that there are rules of shade throwing, but that seems to be right in the center. Like if we're going to have a beef, I'm going to dig up your controversies and I'm going to throw fuel on the fire, right?
Yes.
Embarrassing photo that you will then be put on the defensive to explain. That seems to be typical beef behavior. Picking on the producer's MS, though. I think that one goes over.
That's a little far.
That one goes over the line.
It's a little far. It's a little spicy.
Yeah. It's more than spicy. Like, that's inedible. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you've seen, of the famous hip hop feuds. Historically, there's always kind of the line where everybody goes too far and things have to kind of be mended by the elders, right?
Yeah.
So famously, when Jay-Z and Nas had a back and forth, the line that kind of was seen as too far, and this is also in the world where Biggie and Tupac were both dead, so there was like this idea that, all right, let's not get a good battling back and forth is enjoyed by all and benefits everybody's career, but let's not get to the point where people are dying again. That was a bridge too far. We don't like that.
That's not good for anyone's career. Yeah.
Yeah. So the line there was, I left condoms in your baby seat, meaning that like I had sex with your baby mama. And that the invoking of that was something that was like, that was the ender. That was, the refs had to come in and call it a tie, and everybody agreed to move on.
Mm-hmm.
We are starting with you have a secret kid and you're a deadbeat father.
Right. Which was, correct me here, or clarify.
Yeah.
Pre-existing scuttlebutt, right?
Yes,
first brought
and
to light by Pusha T.
Yeah, it's one of those things though that, as we described, the idea that a rapper has a stray kid with a woman who is not exactly in the mainstream of class, if we're going to put it politely, is not rare. There are plenty of rappers that have well-known offspring all over the place. So it's like, that probably would have been something that People Magazine was never going to ask Drake about, hey, what about your son?
Yeah, right.
Right? Unless it becomes a gigantic story like it is now, and now all of a sudden TMZ is asking the baby mama for comment.
Mm-hmm. And what's she saying?
The rumor is, I don't know. I just saw that they asked her for comment. I don't know what. I mean, she has in the past gone to Twitter and called him a deadbeat dad. So, although there seems to be some level of reconciliation between the two of them.
I have to say, I am seeing a lot of parallels between this and the Meeker report.
I'll tell you what, she screwed up by not coming out with this a few days later in terms of internet usage.
I wonder if like Meeker and I don't know, Gartner ought to get into beef tracks with each other on their analysis.
One last thing I do want to briefly talk to you about, or just see if it's on your radar. Are you familiar with the Brian Colangelo story?
I don't think so.
Worth
something in my brain.
Worth your time. The Philadelphia 76ers director of basketball operations.
Just the false Twitter accounts thing?
Yeah. Apparently caught with multiple false Twitter accounts.
But once you said 76ers, that's top of the DTNS subreddit, by the way.
I mean, I was wondering whether or not it crosses into tech angle.
I'm not sure that it does.
I don't think so.
And put it this way, on a slower news day, I might consider it as a top story kicker for us to have a little fun with. But there's really nothing tech.
I would say it's a quick hit when he gets fired, because he is almost certainly going to get fired.
Sure.
Like, because then at that point it's consequence. It's, you know, keeping it tech went too far, and now you're out of a job. Like that to me is the complete story.
Yeah.
Whereas the investigation, I think, is something that's more a sports story
Definitely.
than it is a tech story. Fascinating, though.
Yeah. No, as a sports story or even a social story, it's fascinating. You're right.
Tom, you are in the final moments to try and get your ink shares published, right?
Yeah. And I really will update TomMerrittBooks.com. I promise.
Wait. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to plug it so people can buy it?
No, I heard that Brian was rightly critiquing that I hadn't put it up on my own book website yet. And I will do that. I will do that today. But yeah, inkshares.com. Book's called Trigger, Trigor, and it is the sequel to Pilot X. They're both time travel adventures. One is a sequel to the other, although you can read them out of order. They aren't, understanding them does not hinge upon having read the other. And I need to get it published. To do that, I have to get 750 pre-orders on Inkshares. That's how I got Pilot X published. And I am 17 days away at 571 pre-orders.
Oh, my God. So you were right on the cusp here. Go to tomsnewbook.com. Tomsnewbook.com will get you right there, and you don't have to spell the name of the book. So tomsnewbook.com. Go there right now. If you like Tom Merritt and you like science fiction, go ahead and get it. And also, I can confirm that Tom writes an as yet unreleased Pusha T and Drake diss track in the book. So please, tomsnewbook.com.
All the letters in the new Pusha T Drake diss track are included in Trigger.
Another Pusha T fun fact.
Yeah.
He invented the ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it.
Did he really?
He did.
He is old.
Oh, my God. All right, Tom, I will see you on DTNS. Thank you so
All right,
much.
we'll talk to you.
All right, peace. He's Tom Merritt. Tom Merritt. He is here for me and you. Tom Merritt is the smart, nicest guy in the world. Tom Merritt. Tom Merritt. We got to make that a song. All right, everybody. That about wraps it up for this week. A few things to go over before we get the F out of here. Number one, email me, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. I want to put out a challenge to all my stoners. Stoners, if you're listening. I know you're getting high, thinking all these high thoughts, having all these high questions. The next time you got one of these high thoughts, go ahead and hit me up. justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. I should write into JuRY is the thought I'm going to put in your head. The second you're having one of them high thoughts. Don't even think about it. Don't think, I should read this again when I'm not. No. Send it when you're high. Hashtag send it when you're high. Also, going on tour, June 9th, June 10th, nightattack.tv/tour. Nightattack.tv/tour is where you need to go for that. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/JuRY. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, @JustinRYoung. Of course, you can hashtag join the conversation at diamondclub.reddit.com. Ladies and germs, that about wraps it up for this version of the show. My name is Justin Robert Young, reminding you, as always, to please don't
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.